topped out mentally with this season weeks ago. Like for me personally, it makes no different complaint when we already know what already I got. What I'm now looking at is what can we do at the end of the season? Like what needs to change? And it's quite obvious. The manager needs to go. That needs to be the first thing. We can talk about getting rid of the crankies, but until this fan base has an entirely decide to assemble themselves properly and organize themselves properly, we ain't getting rid of the crankies because it's gonna need a lot of sacrifices. You know, people willing to give up their season ticket just to fix this club. Another problem when we see at this club, captain Martin Odegaard. This guy do not take responsibility at all. I'm watching the game. I'm looking at this guy. I'm thinking to myself, why you giving the ball to Nwaneri? You can't create. You're supposed to be the creative spark, as Igal would say. He's the creative spark we were missing when he got injured, right? So I'm like, why are you not trying to create? But then again, every time I see him try to play a pass, he just gives it straight to a West Ham shirt. I'm like, oh no, wait a minute, this guy is absolute shit. And then it just topped things off when I saw the free kick at the edge of the box, and he gave it to Sterling. I'm like, when are you gonna fucking take responsibility in this team? You're supposed to be the captain. The only thing I saw him do today was wave his arm a bit, trying to get the crowd riled up. That's all he did. Literally, that's all he did all game. On the game itself, honestly, it's as if Arteta put Mikel Merino in the team and told them to play the same way how we've been playing all season, which would never work. It wasn't working well enough with Havertz up front and Saka fit and Martinelli fit. So how are you gonna just put the same formation, the same lineup with Mikel Merino up front, expecting that it's gonna be different, especially with the way West Ham set up, a back five? It's just nothing makes sense with this. And I'm genuinely trying to mentally top out of watching this team because for the past couple of weeks, I've been realizing every time I watch Arsenal play football, I get a migraine. Like seriously, I get a migraine watching them because I keep asking myself, what the fuck am I watching? Like seriously, what the fuck am I watching? For actually, Northside actually blame Lewis Kelly for the red card more, because he did receive the ball and had time to pass it back to the goalkeeper. But what he tried to do is the same thing he does all the time when he's in that position. He tries to turn the opponent and dribble out. That's what he tried to do. And what's his name? The guy for West Ham. Kudos. That's exactly what it was. Kudos read what was going to happen and just played him for a fool. So the second I saw the foul, I was like, nah, that ain't a yellow card. VAR is going to turn this around. That's a red card. That's a clear and obvious goal scoring opportunity. There was no red shirt nearby. And with the goalkeeper being off his line, that's even worse. So I knew that was a red card. I knew the second we went 1-0 down, we more than likely wasn't going to win anything unless something changed. He put on, I tell you what, he did put on Zinchenko in midfield. And I was like, that's something different. That's something different for once.
But why does he only do these things, when he has no other option? This is why I look at him suspect, because it's like you play Ethan when you have no option. You play Skelly, you start with Skelly once your main defender, Calafiori, is injured. You know what I mean? In prior games. Then you want to use Moreno as a striker because your strikers are now injured and you have no other option but to try something new. Now you're trying to play Zinchenko because all your main midfielders are now, they're all injured or they're underperforming. So it's like, I got to do something new based on injuries. You never did any of these things when everybody's available. You never experimented with different things that you could do when players are available. That's why I can't look at him and say, I tell you, you know what? You're doing it out of necessity, not out of force.
No, but that's the jig's up. The jig's up because he created this problem, and now we're looking at him saying, "All right, Arteta, let's see your actual managerial credentials. Let's see you manage out of this situation." And what do? He does the same thing he's been doing the whole time, just different faces. It's literally just different faces doing the same thing, expecting different result. Einstein definition of insanity. Yep. That's exactly what it is.
Yep.
And you know, I'm seeing Igal going on this Arteta defense tour, going on every platform he possibly can to say, "Oh, I feel sorry for Arteta. Oh, it's not the manager's fault. It's the board." And I'm saying to myself, like, but when we make signings, all I hear is Arteta getting praise. When we sign players that works out, all I hear is Arteta. You're telling me Arteta has nothing to do with the summer and the January that just left? Listen, we all heard he wanted Nico Williams or nobody else. We all heard he wanted Sesko or nobody else. So the fact that we didn't sign anybody for those positions proper and only signed Sterling on the last day tells you everything you need to know. The fact that January happened the way it happened tells you everything you need to know. And another thing I'm looking at, right? He made 3 signings. And we all know all 3 of those signings was on Arteta terms. Mikel Moreno, Calafiori, the goalkeeper. And you know what? I'll throw in Sterling in there. Not a single one of them is useful. Today, I actually have to write off Calafiori because he's a defender that doesn't even want to defend. Facts. He can attack, but we should at least give him credit for his defensive display because that's what we all saw at the Euros to an extent. That's what he was getting praised for, his defensive capability. But he doesn't want to defend. So many opportunities today, like the first Bowen chance that he missed. He watched Bowen run past him. And he just walks backwards. He just jogs towards the box, watching Jared Bowen run off Gabriel and then peel off backwards and could have easily tapped it in. And then the first goal, I'm watching it. I'm like, all right, when are you going to go after him? When are you going to go after him? When are you going to go after him? And he allows the cross to come in. And saying he's a center back playing left back is no excuse because if that was Gabriel or Saliba, that cross wouldn't have come in. And the fault is not just on him because Thomas Partey, Declan Rice, and who was the other defender in there? I think it was probably
what, for the goal?
I think it was probably, for the goal. It was
for
three.
The goal was
three
Gabriel as well. Gabriel,
Partey, and Declan Rice. They all saw Bowen, and none of them took responsibility. None of them took responsibility and said, "You know what? I'm gonna be the one to track Bowen." None of them.
Nope.
It's mad, man, and it's what we've become used to under this manager. In these one-off games, when we need a win, we find a way to bottle it. But it is what it is because, like I said, I'm trying to mentally tap out, not making these games bother me because, as far as I can see, only 2 things can really influence changes. Right? It's either we lose top 4, and come out completely lose Europe. And we know once we out of Europe, this fan base, maybe not the owner, but this fan base will start to change. Because that's what that will be what exactly will galvanize them to actually do something. It's either that or I don't know. Because I was gonna say either we win the league or we drop out of the top 4. Nothing else can satisfy me right now. I'm gonna be honest with you. Nothing else can satisfy me right now. Because unless the rhetoric leads to Arteta leaving this football club, because I don't see us winning anything under him. He finds ways to bottle leagues. He finds ways to not win trophies.
Or misuse funds. When the funds were there to buy a striker. with the 2 players you brought in was not a necessity. Because they're being outshined by players that are already here and players from the academy. And then with the money that you had to go in for Acuna, you add that money, that 40 M's to go in for Cunha, and the 60 M's we spent on Calafiori and Moreno, you've got Gyökeres's release clause right there. And you can take on the wages because Calafiori is only Gyökeres is only on 50k a week. So we can take that on. And when we got the reports in terms of Arsenal, our financial year, we're in the green, even though our wage bill's gone up by £100 million from last year's report. We can still go in and spend comfortably £250 million. we can still go out and get players in. We already know big wages are coming off the wage bill because Tierney's going, that's 100k. We've got Jorginho going, that's another 100k. We've got multiple players going. Tommy Partey as well, that's another 100 and so k coming off the wage bill. So we've got the flexibility to go out there and pay big money and take on big wages if we need to. So it's a lack of planning, lack of foresight, bro. There's no excuses here. You're absolutely spot on. We mismanage our money and we tried to strengthen areas. How can you spend so much money on defensive players and we still need a centre back? We still need a centre back. If anything happens to our centre backs, what happens? We look like a mess. When we played Timber, there we look like a mess. The thing is, we can sit here and say Gabriel's played poor, yeah. But at the same time, who have we got to make him accountable? I keep saying this with this club. Who have we got?
That's what we got.
We've got nobody. We can't make Odegaard accountable because Ethan's playing on the right because of injuries. Because we should have got a number 10 if you're not going to rely on Ethan as the backup number 10. Do you know what I'm saying? You're not making Saka accountable. Sterling's thinking it out. Even when we got injuries, Sterling doesn't get into the starting 11. That tells you everything about this player. How can an experienced player, Premier League winner, do you know what I'm saying, multiple Premier League winner, not be able to get into the squad when we have big injuries? That says everything of where he's at as a footballer. Jorginho, an ex-Champions League winner, is unable to get into the team. That tells you where he's at as a player. Do you know what I'm saying? Kivior, that's only been at the club for what, two years? He's unable to get into the lineup when one of our centre-backs drops a stinker. That tells you where he's at, what his level is as a player. When the informed players are not playing, he still doesn't get into the starting 11. Most of these players, regardless of how the main squad is playing, they don't get into the squad because they're not good enough. So it's absolute facts, bro. I want to ask Carl. I want to ask Carl. Carl, what do you make of this game, bro? What's your thoughts on this